So I'll tell you why Leopold Aschenbrenner was actually a genius in my opinion in 5 minutes. So if you just type his name on YouTube, you will find a lot of videos, a lot of them actually making fun of him. I mean, like people like seeing other people's downfall. So I mean, that is human nature. So you'll see a lot of them mocking him on the leverage he used and all that. So that all can be true. But when I looked more into him, I found that this guy actually was a genius, and his trade was actually genius. Most of them are trolling him in the comment sections of most videos and all that because they have not traded themselves in something called pair trading where you buy one asset and you short another asset. I have done it personally myself and I have had decent success. I have done it in Indian indexes that are Nifty and Bank Nifty, and then some stocks I have bought and then I've sold a corresponding stock in the same industry. I've done that with decent success, but this fellow's success has been insane. So before we go into the details of his trade, you need to know the concept of pair trading, right? So there are approximately 5 possible scenarios. How it works is you buy an asset A and you sell an asset B. So if asset A moves up, you make money. If asset B moves down, you make money because you are short. So there are approximately 5 scenarios. And here I've laid out some of the scenarios. But the main scenarios for this video is scenario number 1, where A goes up and B goes down, you make a total profit of 8. So it goes up 5, B goes down 3, so both are profit, 5 plus 3, 8. And in the 5th scenario, which again is needed in this video, A goes down and B goes up, the total loss is minus 8, right? A goes down minus 5 and B goes up minus 3, so both put together minus 8. So these 2 scenarios is what is needed for understanding history. So according to my small research, this is the picture that I found somewhere online. So his stock holdings were NBIS and SanDisk, right? Now let's just look at the top 2 holdings where he bought the stock and he shorted, that is he sold software companies. These companies would eventually replace, these AI companies would eventually replace like normal conventional software companies. So he had shorted Adobe, however you pronounce it. So in this video, Leopold Aschenbrenner 2027, which was listed 2 years ago. So around 2 years ago, he had launched his Situational Awareness hedge fund. So that is 2024. So now if he had entered the stock in 2024, that he has already made a return of almost 7x, because last year it was 200% and this year it is 127%. So approximately 7x if he had entered in 2024 end. Okay, approximately. Right, this is just a thesis. Now let's look at his investment in SanDisk. If he had invested in 2025 itself, his return would be almost 34 times, 30 to 35 times, right? Look at it. This year alone, it is up 400%. This is around 30 to 35%, 35 times his initial investment if he had entered in 2025. Now let's look at his corresponding play, his second half of the play, which is shorting traditional markets, right? Where everyone says that he had shorted Adobe. So if he had shorted in 2024 beginning, he is sitting at roughly around 60% gains, and if he had shorted in 2024, he would be sitting at approximately 40% gains, right? Now, as per this scenario that I explained earlier, he has made profits in his investments, that is investments in asset class A, that is AI, where some of his investments went up 7x and 35x in SanDisk. And he also made money from shorting asset B, which in his case is Adobe, where he made roughly around 40 to 60%. So this is pure genius. This is generational level play. This is this impresses me a lot. I mean, this is like, it blows my mind. This is like generational, it's enough to retire your generations. But now let's come to the sad part. I don't think his problem was leverage, because even with this drawdown from 300 to 190, he should be in profit, right? Now let's step down to monthly chart, right? See, he is overall in a profit. So what I think went wrong badly for him is, like I said again, is not leverage, but could be greed, right? Which is a beginner mistake, which is a mistake made by beginners, especially when you see so much profits. I've been there, I've made the mistake, so I know how it feels. So what happened is, he was adding huge amounts every month, and I feel that he must have added a lot of his profit. He must have rotated a lot of his profits in the beginning of July or ending of June, right? And then this fall happened. So I think he took all his profits and he rotated into he reinvested it right at the top, and then this fall of almost 40 to 50% plus his leverage took him out. Adobe went up 22%. So overall his loss was, as per the scenario number 5, that is asset A going down and asset B going up. So asset B was Adobe, which went up 20%, and asset A, which is AI, came down by 50. So 50 plus 20, 70% loss. right? So that is the loss calculation for what happened this month for him. Also, please remember 70% loss is only if he took the position in June, July time. It is not for positions he took earlier. The positions he took earlier would still be profitable, would still be profitable. So if he had entered small amounts during June, July, small amounts with or without leverage, he would still be afloat. That is my point. So I honestly think it is not leverage. I think it is horrible risk management that took him out, right? Because if he had added small amounts as the stock went up, or every month, small amounts with big leverage, I think he would still be afloat. But what I think he did is he ended up putting huge all of his profits back in lump sums right over here in this area, and that's where it backfired badly. So now why I think it is a genius is because yes, it was a wonderful generational, retire your generations, multiple generations kind of play. But the thing is, we retailers can still execute his plan. It can be done even now based on some technicals and fundamentals. We can choose when to enter and carry forward this thesis of AI replacing traditional software companies, right? So I still think money can be made in this thesis of his, this game, this trade play of his. This is a trade that still can be executed. That is what most people are missing out on. Tight risk management and small calculated entries, I think, could be the way forward. So if I were him and if I did this trade, what I would do differently is book some profits, a few billions, because he was up multiple billions, book a few billions and use that as a buffer for drawdowns, right? That could be one thing I do, right? And second thing I do is maybe reduce the leverage. In my opinion, leverage was not the big issue here, because let me tell you one thing: when you use leverage, if you have used leverage, leverage is dangerous in the initial phase, right? Not when you enter profit zones, not when you become profitable. So once the position goes up in your direction, it is not a bad thing, right? Only when it reverses is when it becomes a problem. But for him, he was up 7 times, 7x in some stocks and 35x in some stocks. So it was not, that was not the main issue here, right? So his main issue was he was entering stocks in a big way. So how I would do things differently: one is maybe reduce the leverage, maybe keep it, yeah, maybe do it without leverage, or maybe do it with a smaller leverage. But he was using only 4x, so I think 4x was pretty decent only. It is risk management which becomes more important. How much you keep, how much of the profits you keep, and how you manage those profits, right? So that's what I said. I would have booked some of the profits and created a buffer for the drawdown that would come, and entered small tranches of position every few months, right? Say, let's say 5%, 5%, 5%, 5%, like that, 5% of the profits generated, I would have invested. That would be the only things maybe I would have done differently if I were in his shoes, right? Otherwise, it is a great play. It was a great trade. It was a wonderful, great trade, and yeah, I'm very impressed by this trade. It creates generational wealth creation play. And also, please remember, this is not a trading recommendation. This is just my opinion on what happened with situational awareness. And do your own research. Do not trust anyone online. And even though he has blown up his account, he's still going to be a billionaire with his stake in Anthropic. So I think he may do a hedge fund again. And if he does do a hedge fund again, I think he would be someone to look at, watch out for. Because I think he has some really great thinking. So that's my opinion on him. I really feel that if he had proper risk control, he would have done really good and he would have made history. But unfortunately, due to the most basic risk management issues and human nature of greed, it backfired on him. But anyway, at the end of the day, things will work out for him because he's going to be a billionaire with the Anthropic's OpenAI's stake. So all ends well for him. I guess he has learned his lesson. So when he restarts, I think with risk management, I think he'll do better. So yeah, so that's my 5-minute analysis on why I think this guy was actually a genius and how we can learn from him instead of mocking him. Yes, he made some mistakes, but I think we should look at the bigger picture and learn from what he did. I definitely did learn something from what he did, and I plan to try and include his logic in my trading as well. So yeah, do subscribe if you enjoy this trading vlog and want to be updated with more such videos. Thank you.